I need to tell you about the rise of most leaders and the power of just one signature story. I'm Dr. Dan. I'm a neurostrategist. I'm passionate about the brain and how it applies to you, the people you're trying to reach, and the stories you tell. Did you realize that every leader has a powerful signature story? I want you to think about the people you follow and why you follow them. If they are influential and have impact over a lot of lives, I can guarantee you they have a story that you know about, that you've heard, that they repeat over and over and over again. And in the message I want to get across to you is that you also have a signature story that you must unpack. You must be able to deliver on a regular basis, especially to new audiences, so they know who you are. The research is crystal clear, and I want to go into some of that, but let me prove it to you first. Think about Tony Robbins. What's his story? Chances are, if you've heard of Tony Robbins, you know his story. That somebody showed up on a doorstep on Thanksgiving years ago when he was just a kid. His parents were in a fight. They didn't have a lot of money. Somebody from a church showed up on Thanksgiving to his doorstep and tried to give his dad food for a good Thanksgiving meal. And as the story goes, his dad denied the meal. But the person bringing it was very convincing and very persuasive. And he looked at his dad in the eye and he said, "Don't make your children suffer because of your ego." So his dad relented, took the food, ended up continuing to argue with his mom. Months later, they got a divorce, he separated, and most of his family never saw his dad again. And as time went by, his dad ended up passing away. Tony was the only family member who attended his dad's funeral. And this entire storyline comes full circle in that Tony had a heart for people and to help them because people helped him, helped his family, but he was also bound and determined to not get in the predicament and the future that his dad had. He has a story. You have a story. See, Tony tells that over and over again. Now he's inspired and helped millions of people all over the world to be better, to grow as a human, and to succeed even though circumstances are not ideal. Brendon Burchard, another one, was in a near fatal accident in South America, and on the way to the hospital, he thinks to himself, if I died, I have to ask myself these questions. Did I live? Did I love? And did I matter? He starts an entire business around this performance academy asking those questions. Are you living? Are you loving? Do you matter? Does your life matter? See, these stories well up in us a connection that allows us to understand where people came from. You are no different, because when we understand the backstory, we can understand the motive, the desires, and put ourselves in that position. McMaster University research showed that when we hear a story, we quickly determine the motive, the desires of the main character, the protagonist, and then we put ourselves in their shoes. Facts tell and stories sell. Every great leader has a signature story. Now, these leaders learn how to tell other stories to make their point or teach principles, but they always go back to their signature story when they're in front of a new audience, because that signature story is what has defined them. My question to you is, do you have a signature story? I coach and mentor a lot of clients in lots of different industries, and I'll be the first to tell you, it does not matter what profession you're in, what career path you've gone down, or who you serve. Your signature story matters. For me, I never thought I had a story, or better yet, I never thought I had a story worth telling. I didn't think that anybody would want to hear my story, or I had something relevant, because I was comparing my story to other people's amazing story. Now, I want to give you a little secret. It doesn't matter the external events of your story, because what matters most is the message inside your story, the principle that you tell inside the story. That's what matters most. So here I was, third year in business, struggling. I was having some success, but I was struggling because I was trying to be somebody else. I was trying to do all the tactics right, the scripts right, say the words that I saw my mentor saying, but I felt very salesy. I felt that every time that I would go in, I had to put on a face that was not me, and it was exhausting. There would be days where I would not want to get out of bed because I was so depressed, and I realized it was because I wasn't myself. Until one day happened, out of desperation, I decided, you know what, the heck with it. I'm just going to tell my story. And the reason I did that is because I was just with my dad, who had had a heart attack, and he was going into heart surgery. And that day was very emotional for me and my family. And I remember that night just laying it all out there. I didn't care what they thought of me. And so this is what happens. Most of us are so worried about what others think of us that we think we got to have it in this perfect box and do it like somebody else. No, you need to be you. I want to release you. And the reason why this is so powerful is because it's actually neurochemical. When I teach this signature story model, I help my clients to be able to impact the brain of their prospects so that it changes the hormones. In order for you to go to sleep at night, you have to make a hormone called melatonin. That's the only way you get to sleep. When you laugh, you make a hormone called endorphins. When you cry, you make other hormones. When you trust or bond with somebody, you make a hormone called oxytocin. In order for you to do something, it requires an action. That action is preceded by hormones. That's what gets you to believe, behave, and act differently. So the beauty of a story, particularly your signature story, is that it works on the brain. The brain produces hormones, and those hormones move somebody into action. That's the beauty of a signature story. So when I told my story out of desperation because I just didn't care, I was going to lay it all out there. That week, I made $30,000 when I wasn't making that in a month at the time. And what hit me was that I could be me. Not only could I be me, is that the trust that I was creating, I couldn't do even if I had the perfect words, the perfect evidence, the perfect research, the perfect proof, and the perfect scripts. This is what I'm trying to tell you. That if you want to stack the deck in your favor and get people to know, like, and trust you, so they'll buy from you, they'll follow you, and they'll commit to you, you have to nail your signature story. Now you may ask the question, where do you start? You first have to recognize that you have a signature story. Then you have to put it into a formula. I talk about it in this book called The Trust Formula, and I walk you through exactly how to uncover it. There are 3 non-negotiables. The first one is you got to create a backstory, or what I call your upbringing. This allows you to relate with everyone you're speaking to. Your upbringing, your backstory puts you in their shoes or them in your shoes. And they realize, man, you're just like me. When you get them there, it helps them to see that whatever you've gone through, they could do the same. The second non-negotiable is that you must have a problem. No story is a story without a conflict. So the test that you've encountered throughout your life is what makes people pay attention. It builds attention so that they can't turn away from you. You will go from being unknown to unavoidable. And then the third key non-negotiable is that there's a principle within every story that must be conveyed. This principle has a foundation of being an overcomer, so that everybody listening to your story is gonna feel like they can overcome just like you overcame. The second thing, you had a problem, you had a test, you had a conflict. This is what every great movie has, every great book from a story has. You have to get good at finding out exactly how to tell your problem in the most efficient, effective way. And then the third thing is you've overcome, and that overcoming has allowed you to create a principle that they need to understand. And so when your prospects understand what you've overcome, they will be empowered to realize that they can overcome. And when that happens, they are willing to pay you, they're willing to follow you, they're willing to commit to whatever you have to offer them, and they're willing to tell others. It's not magic, it's science. And for me, I come from a neuroscience background, so I need things proven. Why? Because I want it to be reproducible. By all measures of current standards, I would not be described as a great communicator. Whether I'm speaking on stage, I'm speaking in front of video, I'm one-on-one, I would not be considered a great communicator. I have a lot of uhs and ums, and I'm not charismatic, I don't have this extroverted gene. I would not fit in the category of great communicator. However, I know that I am because I understand how to connect with people. And for that same reason, you can be a great communicator as well. Because I'm not interested in winning awards, I'm interested in winning the hearts and minds of people. That's what I'm interested in. And if you are as well, then I've got good news for you. Anybody can be a great communicator that moves people, that builds businesses, that drives revenue, that gets people to want what you have, and ultimately creates buyers by developing a signature story. Every leader has one, and it's time that you get one. And so if you do not have your signature story and you need help on it, get the book, contact us. This is what we do all day, every day. Not because I think it's a great business model, it's because it's absolutely needed in the marketplace. If you're interested in helping more people, you've got to be a better communicator, which is going to require you to have a story. So what I'd like for you to do is all the YouTube stuff. Subscribe, leave me a comment, like it, or debate me on why you think that a signature story is not needed in the marketplace today. I'm always up for a good challenge. That's it for me. I'll see you in the next one. Dr. Dan, out.